Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got another massive part today, but before we get into that, we gotta thank the patron as always. So, Dragon of Old Geezers, thank you very much for the support. And, as always, analytics are very important, so please don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm. And, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications, so that way you'll never miss another upload. Also, if you want to support us a little bit further, please consider becoming a YouTube channel member or a patron. You'll get exclusive access to things that I don't post on the channel, and early access to everything that I do. But with all that being said, let's get into What If Indigo Champion Ash Challenged the Battle Frontier, Part 3. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part with our heroes, as we follow Ash and Misty, with him continuing his trek into the battle frontier. Since the events that happened on Metallica Island, both Ash and Misty have been island hopping in an attempt to get back to the mainland, continuing on route to Ash's next battle facility near Fuchsia City. And since Ash and Misty are both basically heading in the same direction, the redhead has decided to join Ash on his adventure, as the battle facilities just so happen to be laid out in a very peculiar way that's going to take her directly to her home of Cerulean. This is where we find the duo on an island just south of Fuchsia, about a day's travel over the water, as they're taking a much needed rest and relaxation day, considering Gyarados has still been pushing itself rather hard, trying to get them out of the main body of water that is the ocean ever since they left Metallica Island, since they're no longer under the threat of a world-ending calamity. This is where we find Ash and Misty as they're relaxing on the beach, just kind of enjoying the waves splashing up on the shore while the rest of the Pokemon play. Particularly, Ash's newly hatched Vulpix has taken a liking to playing with Pikachu and Skorupi, even though the little bug type can be a bit aggressive. However, Vulpix doesn't seem to have an issue with this, as all it really wants to do is play, considering it's just a newborn full with energy. And as those three play around, Ash's Rhydon and his newly evolved Ursaluna are just kind of doing the same as its trainer, lounging around just enjoying the day. Now, while Ursaluna is Ash's newest evolution, that doesn't mean its personality has really changed at all. It's still just as lazy as it was when it was an Ursaring. However, it seems to be a bit more bulky than before, so it can take a hit. However, as they're all just enjoying the day, this is where we pick up in a conversation with Ash and Misty, as the redhead states that she hasn't been home in over 3 years, and she really wants a chance to see her sisters. Partly because she misses them, but also because she wants to make sure they haven't burnt the gym down in the time that she's been gone. Ash comments that it's probably been even longer since he's been to Cerulean, so he's quite curious to how the city has been changed. As a matter of fact, he thinks that the last time he was there was when he battled Misty for the Cascade Badge. That was a fun day, the redhead says with a smile. I really enjoyed that battle with you. Yeah, me too, Ash replies. It was the first real intense battle that I had had with you or Brock, and it felt like it was special, like it was going to lead to something that no one had ever seen before, and it just so happens that I got the chance to compete in the league and actually win it. If I didn't have you and Brock by my side back then, there's no telling how I would have fared in the league overall, but I don't think that I would have been able to make it all the way to the Elite of 4, let alone pass the 5th round. Misty does chuckle a bit at this statement, as she knows that Ash is right about this. However, look at where you're at now. You've had a successful title defense, and you've caught a lot of strong Pokemon, she says, as she refers to both Rhydon and Ursaluna, as she reflects back on when they first got on the island, and Ash had released all of his Pokemon. You see, because Ursaluna was newly evolved, Rhydon didn't really recognize it, and it caused a brief disagreement between the two that had to be stopped with the intervention of Ash. However, there was one that kind of took this as a game, and that was his Vulpix, so it got involved and kind of complicated things by using a couple of ice attacks on the two ground types. This caused things to get a little bit heated, but luckily, after some convincing from Ash and some backup from Misty and her water Pokemon, the two ground types decided just to reconcile their differences for the time being and go their separate ways. That's why they're kind of distanced from each other on the beach for the time being, as they're still feeling each other out. However, you could say it might be a bit of jealousy on Rhydon's part, as with Ursaluna being a newly evolved evolution, it's gained a new level of power, and it could possibly easily challenge Rhydon, to which there was only a handful of Ash's Pokemon at the lab that could actually do that, which could be a point of tension between the two in the future. However, this is something that we're going to have to put off to the side for now, as we continue on in the current moment when we realize that the Ice-type Vulpix has taken a particular shine to Rhydon, thinking of the behemoth as a playmate as it engages with the ground type. However, as Rhydon just kind of sits there, it doesn't know how to respond, but after a side-eye from Ash, Rhydon relents, letting it play to its heart's content, as Vulpix decides that it wants to trounce up and down the tail and the back half of Rhydon, using its massive frame, kind of like an obstacle course or a jungle gym. And this has just kind of been the theme of the last couple of days, with Ash trying to familiarize Vulpix with not only himself, but all of the Pokemon that he has. And even though that Vulpix is high energy, it has quickly picked picked out its favorites among the Pokemon that it has to choose from between both Ash and Misty. It absolutely enjoys its time with Pikachu and Psyduck, as the Ice Fox simply finds the clueless Quack absolutely hilarious. And then there's Pikachu, which is as much energy as Vulpix, and considering they're in similar size, it gives the newborn someone to engage with that's on its level. And then of course there's Rhydon, who is massive compared to Vulpix, and simply doesn't understand on how to engage with something that small that has that type of interest in it, while trying not to hurt the Ice Fox in the process. And then there's also Skorupi, to which has been a couple of issues, as the bug type can be a little bit more aggressive considering it has somewhat of a stature problem, and it thinks that it has a point to prove with all of these other bulky behemoth Pokemon around it. Though it's never meant to actually harm anyone, it just wants to make sure that it doesn't get pushed around. But as the day treks on and it turns into sunset, this is where we find everybody kind of preparing themselves for the night. The group has split up in an attempt to try and find some food on the island, and this is where we catch up with Misty as she is working with her Pokemon. However, she's taken a shine to one in particular, and that's Gyarados, as the redhead still feels guilty about pushing it as hard as she did when they were looking for Manaphy. While the serpent is still feeling the effects of being pushed so hard, it bears no ill will towards its trainer, knowing that Misty would have done the same for it if it had ever been lost or taken. So the two are able to easily reconcile rather quickly, as they have a long and lengthy history with each other, especially after everything that happened while they were in Hoenn. The two simply look on as they watch Ash trying to wrangle the high energy Vulpix around all of his other Pokemon, trying to show it the correct way it should be behaving. But unfortunately, this is only resulting in a very complicated situation that is forcing Ash to struggle, which causes both Misty and Gyarados to chuckle to themselves as they find Ash's predicament absolutely funny. However, this is when the night is going to catch up to them rather quickly, as we now find the group on the beach around a fire enjoying the meals that they were able to cobble up on this small island. And as they finish their meals, Ash looks up at the sky only to see something that finally catches his eye, as the red moon has completely left it and is no longer the thing that distracts everybody from looking up. It's the Millennium Comet that has blanketed the night sky. This causes Misty to stop and think about Manaphy for a brief moment. "You really miss it, don't you?" Ash says, to which Misty tries to choke back a brief tear before saying that she does. After losing Togepi the way she did and then having to say goodbye to Manaphy, the redhead is kind of conflicted on what her next move is going to be. She knows she's going to go home to Cerulean Gym, but she doesn't want to stay there. Seeing her family is great and all, but she wants to be able to travel once again. But then there's also the overwhelming fact that she's been gone from home for so long, and everything that she's really gotten attached to has been taken away, so maybe some time at home would do her some good. Spending time with family and friends is always something that could be used to heal a broken heart, to which I haven't even had the chance to get over Togepi yet, and now I have Manaphy here as well. This is where a moment of silence befalls everyone, as Misty is waiting for a response from Ash. However, she simply turns to see the boy staring at her, unsure of how to respond to it. This causes Misty to get a little bit agitated, as she yells at him for just sitting there with his mouth open. However, Ash simply apologizes, stating that he didn't mean to. It's just he's never really seen Misty open up to him like that before, so he was unsure on how to react to it. "Well, thanks for letting me know that I could actually do that with you, Ash. I feel really appreciated in this moment of weakness that I just exposed myself to." "Well, I didn't mean to, Misty." However, the redhead doesn't even give him a chance, as she stands up and stomps off with a couple of her Pokemon in tow, just leaving Ash standing there looking completely bewildered. He didn't mean to make her mad, it's just he was unsure on how to process the situation. All the while, Vulpix is still playing around with all the other Pokemon on the beach, as it is really enjoying its time with all of its new friends. Due to this little situation that Ash has gotten himself in, and Misty's frustration with the boy, the time that they spend on this island is going to go from 1 to 2 days. And this is where we find the duo, as they are atop of Gyarados with Fuchsia City just in their sight. It took Ash a while to convince Misty that he was sorry for how he had reacted in the situation. He didn't mean to make her feel like she couldn't open up to them. They've been friends for so long, and Ash should have had a better response than what he did. So after some reassurance and telling Misty that he'll try to be more supportive in the future when it comes to sensitive issues like that, they were able to make amends and move on from the island. Though not without a couple of more issues with the high energy Vulpix, as it wanted to play with anything and everything that it can get its paws on, causing a little bit of tension between it and the over-aggressive Skorupi to flare up a bit. However, luckily, Ash was able to put a quick stop to this when he was able to separate Skorupi from Vulpix, drawing the attention of the ice type towards Rhydon, much to its chagrin. However, this is where we find them in the current moment, as they have finally arrived in Fuchsia City. Ash is excited to get his next Battle Frontier win under his belt, as the next battle facility is supposed to be just located outside of the city to the east. This is where Misty comments that Ash should head to the Pokemon Center to make sure his Pokemon are checked up on. Even though they did get all those eggs from the Chansey that belonged to Spencer, the fact of the matter is they haven't had any real medical attention since before they ended up leaving on this little adventure of theirs, to which Ash fully acknowledges. However, he states once they get that checked up on, there is one stop that Ash wants to make before he heads to the battle facility. This strikes Misty as odd, as normally Ash would be raring to go for a battle and putting everything out of his mind aside from that. However, seeing this as a sign of maturity in her friend, this sparks her curiosity, so she decides not to poke any further, as she would like to be on this adventure with him and find out what exactly he is talking about. So with that all being said, they head over to the Pokemon Center, where they get a chance to see Nurse Joy and get all of their Pokemon looked at. And it's a good thing too, as even though they are all still in pretty good shape, the fact of the matter is, after battling a legendary, Ursaluna could use some modern medicine in order to fix it up. Even though Spencer did his best on the island, the fact of the matter is that the resources on that island were rather limited for the herbs and everything that it could do, and Ursaluna wasn't exactly 100% recovered. However, after an afternoon of care underneath Nurse Joy, all of their Pokemon seemed to have made a full recovery. Even Gyarados, as exhausted as it was, has seemed to gather all of its strength back up. However, Nurse Joy does offer some advice to Misty, warning her not to push the water type so hard, as even though it is very strong, it has a biology that she's unfamiliar with, so it could be something that could be a cause for concern. However, Misty knows what Nurse Joy is talking about, as this Gyarados is a clone Pokemon, so its biology would be slightly different than a normal Gyarados, to which just causes the girl to laugh nervously as she shrugs it off, saying that she's going to have to look into that, but she thanks Nurse Joy for her concern, before running off to join Ash, who at this point is sitting in the eatery of the Pokemon Center, deciding what their next move is going to be. However, the fact of the matter is that for him to try and go for a battle at a facility at this current time wouldn't be the best idea, as it's nearly dark. But there is one other activity within the actual bounds of Fuchsia City that they can do, and it's the one that Ash mentioned that he wanted to try before they headed to the battle facility. So he suggests to Misty that after their late lunch, they head over there, as he's very curious to who is in charge nowadays. This piques Misty's interest, as she's beginning to have an idea of what Ash is talking about. So after a very big meal for Ash, Misty, and Pikachu, they depart from the Pokemon Center, as Ash wants to get this done as soon as possible. He hopes that the leader is actually there today. So my suspicions were right. You want to head over to the Fuchsia Gym, don't you, Ash? To which the boy chuckles, yeah. After competing in the Johto League a couple of years ago and finding out that Koga was a member of their Elite Four, I'm quite curious to who has taken over the gym since he's been gone. I hear that there have been a strong trainer, but I'm not exactly sure if they specialize in the same type as him, or if it's a new type of Pokemon that Kanto has never really had before, like the Steel, or Fairy, or even a Dark type leader. So this is something I've been wanting to check out for a while, and now that I'm here, I might as well. Well, I'm sure that no matter who they are, Koga made the right selection when he came to choosing for the gym, and I'm sure that they're going to be a great leader no matter what, Misty responds, as they happen upon the one place that they haven't seen in many years, the giant castle that is the Fuchsia Gym. At the sight of this place, Ash gets overexcited, and he immediately reverts to his kid self as he begins to push on the doors heading into the main building. However, this causes Misty to yell at him as she grabs his arm. Don't you remember what happened last time they were here? There was traps everywhere, and they just ended up in a situation where they could have been hurt. This causes the champion to hang his head, as he knows the girl is right, and he had a temporary lapse in judgment, only for Pikachu to facepalm, as it expected more of his trainer. However, Misty's berating of Ash is going to quickly come to an end, as the doors begin to open wider, causing the two's attention to be drawn, and two people step out. One person is a girl that neither Ash or Misty know. She's in the middle of talking with someone else. One person that Ash has become very familiar with over the last couple of weeks, the boy Paul. He just won another badge on his path to enter the Indigo League. The girl presents him with the Soul Badge, as Misty and Ash look on. A brief feeling of disgust is starting to overcome Ash, however he knows that's very unbecoming of his position, so he decides to swallow his pride for the moment as he approaches Paul to congratulate him on the badge that he had just won. However, Paul just takes the badge and bows to the leader to show a sign of respect before walking off, seemingly ignoring Ash in the process. This causes our champion to get a bit fired up as he tells that he shouldn't be acting like that. He was trying to congratulate him. He's excited that Paul actually got a chance to win another badge. However, it's not Ash that has Paul's attention, as he gives a side eye to Misty but says nothing as he walks off, leaving the redhead completely speechless as she has her gaze locked on Paul as he disappears from out of view. This causes Ash to begin to call to her, Misty, hey Misty, Earth to Misty, is anyone there? However, nothing is getting her attention as she seems to be entranced by Paul for some reason, but this is eventually broken by the gym leader that had presented Paul with the badge in the first place. As the girl comments that it's about time that Ash stopped by, she was beginning to think that he hadn't even thought that she was a real gym leader and the Fuchsia Gym was actually shut down. This gets both our champions and Misty's attention as they turn to greet the lady and tell her sorry for their rudeness. However, the woman simply chuckles a bit as she states it was only a joke. She didn't want to be that serious. Oh, yeah, right, Ash says. Well, I'm Ash. Oh wait, you already knew that. Well, I am sorry, but you are right. I should have been here sooner. And since I was in the area, I wanted the chance to stop by to see who this new leader is. What was your name again? He asks, a bit unsure on how to continue the conversation. The girl plays this off, a bit offended that Ash doesn't know who she is. You were able to beat my father, but you don't know who I am? This causes Ash to get a bit nervous as he stumbles over his words. but the girl simply laughs, stating that it was another joke. Ash needs to stop being so serious. I thought he was supposed to be a champion that was in touch with everybody around him. Oh, right, I'm sorry, he says. The girl just continues to laugh. My name is Janine, and I am the leader of the Fuchsia Gym, handpicked by my father, Koga. Wait, Koga's your dad? Both Ash and Misty say in tandem, which is followed by a look of shock and amazement that is plastered across each of their faces. This causes Janine to just laugh. Yeah, he is, believe it or not. Both Misty and Ash think about Koga. They thought he was too serious of a person to actually have any children, being the master of a dojo and everything. However, Janine states that during the time that Ash was here, she was actually away training in their Johto facility. Then, when her father got the call up to the Elite Four in the Johto region, she came back and took over the gym. That's why they've never really met. And she does answer the question that is on their mind. Yes, she knows that her father can be a bit strict as he is a master of a ninja clan. However, he is still her dad, and he is a good person at heart, even though his attitude may not always show it. She then invites both Ash and Misty into the gym, telling them that they should come inside as it's almost dark, and if they want, they can stay the night, to which Ash is happy to accept. However, as he takes his first step, Misty reaches out and grabs him again, warning him of their booby traps. This causes Janine to stop, as she turns with a very malicious look on her face, almost like she was expecting them to fall into a trap. This causes both Ash and Misty to get nervous again. However, Janine breaks the tension with a simple laugh. Oh, you guys don't have to worry about those. My dad was a bit extreme, if you want to call it that. However, I dismantled all those traps years ago. The gym is just a basic gym now. I don't want to cause any harm to any of my challengers that come, though my dad calls me a fool for doing so, as he thinks that the type of environment that he had created here originally was the best to keep your skills sharp, and he doesn't want to hear the fact that his ways are the old ways, and while some of them are great to keep around for tradition and training purposes, the fact of the matter is the world is changing, and we need to change with it. We need to be a little bit more friendly to our competitors. So I wanted to get rid of the stigma of the Fuchsia Gym being a place that could literally end your life and make it more inviting. This causes Ash to smile, as he says he's glad to hear it. They need more leaders like Janine in the CANT region, people willing to take pride in what they are doing. The boy then turns to Misty, with Pikachu on his shoulder, telling her that they should go inside and see what the gym has to offer. After all, they can't stay out here all night. And like it or not, Ash doesn't think that Misty would want to trek through the forest with all the creepy bug Pokemon that like to come out at night. This causes Janine to chuckle a little bit, as Misty begins to freeze up as she gets goosebumps all over her skin. Alright, let's go inside, she says. I can't take one more minute out here, causing her to push not only Ash, but Janine in before closing the doors behind them. However, the moment they step inside, Misty's going to realize one thing. The last time they were here, she couldn't really remember their way around the gym, and this time's no different, as it still looks like a dark maze of a castle, to which Janine simply laughs, stating that if they follow her, then she will lead the way. After all, it can be kind of disorienting making their way through their house. Ash tells the gym leader to lead the way. After all, he would like the chance to actually get some food since they're here. So, as the three begin to walk throughout the house, Ash makes conversation with Janine, asking about how her father is doing and what he's been up to as of late. The gym leader states that Koga has remained within the region of Johto, and he's essentially made his base of operations inside of their training school that is out there. So, when they don't have any type of league going on, and there's nothing that needs his attendance, Koga just mainly resides out there. She hasn't even really seen her father in over a year, and the last time she did, the closest she got to him was watching him on a monitor as he battled. Ash replies that it sucks. He can understand not being able to see one's parents as much as they would like to, but Janine seems to be fairly busy here, so at least she's got her time preoccupied. To which the gym leader simply smiles. Oh yeah, I do, and it's about to be a whole lot more preoccupied, as she throws open the doors to reveal the gym's main battle area. So Ash, considering you've already beaten the Fuchsia Gym and earned the soul badge, how about you give me a chance to redeem it, considering the last time you were here, you battled my father, and not me. Wait, a battle right now, Ash says? But it's nearly dinner time. To which Janine says, oh, she won't mind feeding both him and Misty, but first, she wants to get an actual gym battle out of him. Wait, a gym battle, Ash says? To which Janine simply nods her head. If Ash wins, then she'll give him another soul badge. However, the boy is a bit hesitant at first, as he's already got the soul badge, so the luster of getting a prize after a Pokemon battle really doesn't stick out to him, which he even says so, though he won't hesitate to battle Janine. After all, he's never one to turn down a good challenge. He just asks that she names the terms, to which the girl simply states she would like a 2-on-2. She will take the role as a gym leader, so she won't be allowed substitutions, while Ash will, and the battle will be over when one side no longer has any Pokemon to battle. Wow, so you really want this to be a gym battle, Ash says, to which Janine smiles, stating that she's thought of nothing else, as she's never had a chance to actually challenge anybody that's at the Elite Four level or a champion level outside of her father, and even though she's lost to him many times, she's improved her skills as a trainer and as a ninja drastically since their last battle, and what better way to see how well she's improved than to take on the current champion of the region she's a gym leader for. Alright Janine, you're on, Ash says. Let's do this. The boy then turns to Pikachu and tells the electric mouse to sit this one out. He's going to use some of their other friends, to which Pikachu happily nods as it dismounts Ash's shoulder and joins Misty, as the girl slowly looks for a place to sit down on, still cautious about anything that may be booby-trapped throughout the gym. While Misty contemplates her safety in this building, we move over to Ash and Janine, as the two of them have taken their positions on the battlefield. Are you sure this is something you want? The champion says. It's not too late to back out now. However, Janine already has her Pokeball in her hand, stating that this is one thing that she's been thinking of since she took over the gym, and Ash won't be weaseling his way out of this. She intends to battle the champion with everything she has, and she intends to walk away the winner. Now, present his first Pokemon, as she declares, Nidoqueen, your time to battle. Popping from its ball, Ash can't help to think that she is exactly like her father, embracing the poison type that the Fuchsia Gym is known for. However, the boy has a smile on his face, as he knows which Pokemon he's going to be using here. However, he does something odd that catches Janine and Misty off guard, as he pops a Pokeball only for Vulpix to emerge. He states that this won't be his choice. Vulpix is his newest Pokemon, and he wants to give it the chance to actually watch a gym battle, so he tells it to stand right next to Ash, so that way it can observe the Pokemon that he's going to choose in this battle, to which Vulpix doesn't quite understand, as it hasn't quite had the chance to actually see a Pokemon battle before. However, Ash knows that there's going to be one Pokemon that is on his team currently that he'll be able to use to get Vulpix's full attention, as he declares, Rhydon, I choose you! The hulking behemoth of a ground type emerges from its ball with a loud thud, as it towers over Janine's Nidoqueen, which causes both the gym leader and the dual poison ground type to shudder a bit. Wow, your Rhydon is really big, Janine says, to which Ash simply chuckles. Yeah, the island that I caught him on in the Orange Archipelago sold him at giant size, and Rhydon has been one of my best battlers for the longest time. It was even on my championship team that allowed me to beat Lance back in the day. Hearing that statement, Janine immediately gets excited, as she wants to test the power of her Pokemon against one of Ash's actual championship level Pokemon. So the battle immediately begins, as Janine orders a poison jab. However, Ash isn't going to take this lightly, and he wants to demonstrate exactly how strong Rhydon is, as he gives a command for a Mega Horn. Rhydon focuses all of its energy into the horn atop of its head as it begins to barrel in the direction of Nidoqueen, as its opponent can do nothing but watch as Rhydon is able to move with a speed that is unbecoming of its bulky size, before vanishing only to land its horn directly into the gut of Nidoqueen. The power behind this is one that is impressive, as Janine's never seen anything like it, as in front of her very eyes, Nidoqueen is sent spiraling into a wall with a thud that shakes the foundations of the gym, causing Misty and Pikachu to jump a bit from the impact before it lands with spirals in its eyes. This causes Ash to shriek a little bit. Wait, it's over already, the boy says, to which Janine just stands there completely in awe. Nidoqueen is one of her best Pokemon, and it got taken out with one move? Wow, I really have my work cut out for me, she thinks to herself. Matching power for power is not something I'm going to be able to do with this kid. Janine finds this strange, saying this to herself, as Ash is technically younger than her, which is all the more reason why she cannot lose this battle. So if she can't outmatch this thing in power, then she's going to use speed, as Ash eagerly awaits her next Pokemon. Be careful about your choice, the boy responds. If you don't make the right one, then this battle could be over before it truly has a chance to get started. This causes Janine's eye to twitch a little bit, as she knows what kind of pressure she's on. After all, she's the one who mounted this challenge, and from the way things are looking, it's not going in her favor. However, she feels like she has just the Pokemon with just the right moveset to take out this behemoth of a monster, declaring, Roserade, your time to battle. Popping from its ball, the poisonous thorn bouquet of flowers emerges with a brief elegance about it. However, Ash isn't fooled, as he knows that Janine is up to something with this thing. It's small, which means it's probably fast. So he tells Rhyhorn that they're going to need to be ready. Let's try and make this a one-shot just like before. The ground type lets out a loud cry of its name before the second battle is given a go-ahead to start, and Ash gives a command for a move that will allow them to attack from a distance in an earth power. Rhydon slams its foot into the ground, splitting the wood beneath it, causing the gym to begin to shake as tremors begin to emerge. However, Roserade won't be caught in this, as it is quick on the uptake and it uses its advanced speed to get around the tremors before they're able to hit it, making it an almost clean counter and a dodge, preventing any major damage to the grass type. Janine comments that Ash is going to have to do a lot better than that. He should try to use that speed that he did before. After all, it's what allowed him to win the first battle so easily. However, Ash is no fool, and he realizes that Rhydon won't be able to keep up with the speed of that thing, so he's got to change tact, as he orders Rhydon to use a Stone Edge, fan them out across the battlefield, and try to hit Roserade. However, it's to no use. The speed of the grass type is just too much, and it's able to easily get in with a move called Energy Ball that actually manages to hit Rhydon for some serious damage. Realizing that he may be finally in a losing position with this battle, considering the damage that Rhydon had just took, Ash decides that he might have to take up Janine on that offer. So he orders Rhydon in to use its speed to try and keep up with Roserade. However, this is going to be the mistake that turns the tide of this battle, as the grass type is able to easily execute a move that is going to one-shot Rhydon when Janine makes the call for a grass knot that bursts from the ground and begins to bind the rhinoceros whole, causing it to begin to tumble head over heels, using its own weight against it as Rhydon slams into one of the gym walls before barreling through it outside into the courtyard. Ash immediately runs to its side to ask if it's okay. However, once the dust settles and he can see his Pokemon, Rhydon has spirals in its eyes, giving this win to Janine. Recalling Rhydon, Ash is a bit taken aback. He didn't expect Rhydon to lose so abruptly. It seems Janine may be a better gym leader than he was giving her credit for initially. However, this is all the more reason for Ash to throw her off kilter as he takes his position back in the gym, stating that Janine may have taken Ash by surprise, but this time he's going to get the chance to take her by surprise, as he holds his final choice in his hand, declaring, "Skorupi, I choose you." As the aggressive little scorpion pops from its ball, Janine begins to immediately revert to her inner child as she swoons over the scorpion. "Ash, you have one of those? I've wanted one of those for the longest time." To which our champion simply responds, "Yep, I caught it recently, and it's one of my newest Pokemon, so I want to give it a chance to battle here, as I haven't had a real chance to test it against somebody that's super strong." "Well, outside of one person," Ash says as he thinks about Paul. This immediately causes Janine to question where the boy caught it at, to which Ash responds that he caught it while he was in the Savari Zone in Cianwood City, to which Janine states that she may have to take a trip over to Johto to see her dad, and possibly get one of them, as she's been wanting one for a very long time. So she hopes that Ash has the ability to wield it, to which the boy states this is going to be a learning experience for both of them, but he hopes Janine's ready because he doesn't plan to back down. All the while, in the stands, Ash's little scorpion bug has caused Misty to shudder a little bit, as she doesn't really like it that much. But that's going to be a moot point as Ash starts the battle calling for a Fury Cutter. However, Roserade is going to demonstrate exactly why it's going to be the best choice to battle Skorupi here, as it's able to easily evade any attacks that the little scorpion could possibly mount against it, and easily attack back with something even more stronger, as in this case, it's going to be something that doesn't have a lot of damage potential as far as super effectiveness, but can still cause quite a bit, as Roserade lets loose with a Shadow Ball at the command of its trainer, sending Skorupi sliding across the battlefield. This immediately causes it to get frustrated, as Ash tells it to calm down. They need to stay focused. If they don't, then they're going to lose this battle, to which Skorupi tries to heed its trainer's warnings, as Ash commands for a dig, allowing it to tunnel beneath the battlefield that Rhydon had previously broken up with its earth power. "Stay on guard," Roserade the gym leader states, as the grass type surveys the surrounding area. They know that Skorupi is going to surface somewhere, to which unknowingly to Ash, it's going to be a little bit more obvious than he would have thought, as the broken floor immediately begins to shift as Skorupi is tunneling about. This gives Janine a perfect line of sight, as she tells Roserade to trace the path before immediately coming up where Skorupi surfaces and hitting it with an energy ball, forcing the scorpion back in the ground. This puts Ash and his bug type on the defensive, as this repeats a couple of times, forcing Ash to try and find some sort of alternative way to battle. But unfortunately, with each hit that Skorupi takes, the damage begins to stack up, and even though it's not super effective, it's still putting Ash and Skorupi in quite the predicament, as it's not going to be able to handle much more from this onslaught. "Man, it's just too vast," Ash says. "If only we had some way to get around it." That's when something begins to hit the boy, as he realizes that there is a way that they're going to be able to create a barrier. Smiling, Ash tells Skorupi to fire a pin missile from underneath the ground. This immediately catches Roserade and Janine off guard, as planks of wood and the pins begin to shoot up, blocking the line of sight. This gives the little scorpion an opening that Ash was trying to create, as he immediately commands for a Fury Cutter that slashes across the bouquet of flowers before it immediately tunnels beneath the ground. And before the planks of wood and the pins could even fall, Skorupi is back at it again at the command of its trainer when it lets loose with another Fury Cutter that is even more devastating than the previous one, as it has landed in succession. "Quick, Roserade, you're going to have to clear the planks. Use Shadow Balls." Doing so, the grass type begins to pelt all the planks around it with a barrage of Shadow Balls, trying to clear a line of sight to try and track where Skorupi is. This is successful, as the bug type begins to surface again. It's immediately pelted with one of the Shadow Balls, causing it to freeze in place. This gives Roserade the opening needed, as Janine commands for a grass knot to tie it down. While Skorupi isn't super heavy, and this isn't going to cause the same victory that it had with Rhydon, this is going to lock it into place, giving Roserade a near sure win in the eyes of Janine. She immediately tells the bouquet of flowers to rush in and hammer it with another energy ball and end this. Ash tells Skorupi that it needs to break free. "Quick, use a pin missile." However, the bug type is unable to move, being locked to the ground so securely that the only thing that it can do is blink as it watches Roserade close the gap between the two of them. This causes Skorupi to get frustrated with the whole situation, including Ash, as the boy is at a loss for what he can do. They try to dig, but Skorupi is unable to move to actually begin the tunneling. So in this moment, the little bug type decides that it's going to take things into its own hands, as it lets out a loud call of its name before it begins to glow in an evolutionary light. This catches everybody off guard, as Roserade is immediately caught from within the light by a giant pincer, as from within emerges a much more bigger and ferocious opponent. Pulling out his Pokédex, Ash immediately sees that Skorupi has evolved into its final form, the Pokemon known as Drapion. This immediately causes Ash to get excited, as he can't believe Skorupi was that close to evolving, and he can't believe that it evolved to try and win the battle. This immediately causes the boy to begin to celebrate. However, Misty yells from the sidelines, stating that Ash is still in a Pokemon battle. He can't get distracted that easily, to which the boy immediately refocuses, and he realizes that things are on the other foot, as the pincer that has now grasped itself around Roserade has prevented it from being able to move. And this is where Ash realizes that Drapion has learned a new move upon evolution, something known as Poison Fang, which he immediately commands, to which the scorpion immediately clamps down its jaws, showing it has no problems in being aggressive aggressive as it has enough force to bring this battle to an end before throwing Roserade at the feet of Janine as it lets out a mighty cry of its name celebrating its victory. As Roserade thuds at the feet of Janine, this causes the girl to flinch as she never realized that the Drapion line was so aggressive before. She had never really seen one in person, and this immediately begins to cause her to rethink her idea of wanting to come in contact with one. However, this is going to be interrupted when Ash rushes out to Drapion and begins to celebrate his win with the newest evolution of his team. However, it seems that Drapion isn't completely interested in celebrating at this current time as it eyes down Janine, almost signaling like it wants another battle. However, Ash unknowingly recalls it, stating that they've had enough for today. They've won, and now it's going to be time to eat, causing Janine to laugh nervously. Yeah, right. I did say I would feed you, she says. Yeah, so what's on the menu? Ash immediately responds. However, it's at this moment the boy immediately remembers something important about this battle, as he turns to see Misty, Pikachu, and Vulpix walking up to him. He immediately crouches down to the Alolan Pokemon, asking if it learned anything from their battle. However, Vulpix seems to be uninterested with everything that had happened, as it merely plays with the planks of wood that have been loosened from the floor. Well, I guess it's going to take a little bit more work, Ash states, before he pulls out its Pokeball to recall the Ice type, and asks if they can finally eat. After all, anytime he's in a very intense battle, he gets really hungry. To which Janine says, yeah, come on, I'll show you to where the rooms are so that way you guys can get comfortable, and then I'll have the gym attendants start on cooking meals so that way everybody will be ready to go. Ash and Pikachu immediately let out a yell of approval as Misty just simply sighs, stating that he's never going to change, no matter who he's battling or what level of power he has obtained during his journeys. However, there is one thing that the redhead is a bit wary on, as it seems like Ash has completely been oblivious to the fact that Drapion has become a little bit over-aggressive, and it seems that the boy didn't realize it during the battle. So she's going to have to watch it and remind Ash about this if it comes up once again. So with the battle finally over, everyone begins to settle in as we flash forward to when they're eating in the dining area of the Fuchsia Gym. This is where they begin to have casual conversation. Janine is a bit upset about her loss, but she begins to inquire why Ash and Misty are in Fuchsia City, to which the boy states that he's currently challenging something called the Battle Frontier, and he's on his way to the next facility called the Battle Pike. This immediately perks Janine up as she says, oh yeah, I'm actually aware of that. I know the brain, and they're really strong. We battle quite often. This immediately perks Ash up, as the thought of somebody being strong and continuously battling with somebody that he had just battled is something that sends the boy into overdrive as he begins to question Janine about the brain, as Ash knows nothing about them. However, Janine remains tight-lipped, stating that if Ash wants a true challenge, then it's just better if he wait until they actually battle. After all, isn't that the reason why he's challenging the Battle Frontier in the first place? Yeah, I guess you're right, Ash says, as he hangs his head a little bit, before immediately perking back up as the food arrives at the table, and him and Pikachu begin to dig in, much to the disgust of Misty and Janine. As the night fades on and everybody begins to grow tired, they all retreat to their rooms as Ash and Misty are forced to share one. However, this isn't something that they haven't done before, so they're comfortable with this. As things begin to wind down, Ash and Pikachu are lying in bed as Misty joins them in the room. The girl tells Ash that it's been fun traveling with him again, and it's a shame that it's not exactly like the old days. After all, they are missing one member, to which Ash says, yeah, I know, but I haven't talked to Brock in a long time, and I don't even know where he's at. As far as I still know, he's out in the Johto region, continuing to learn how to be a Pokemon doctor. This is where Misty states that it had to be done. Brock was eventually going to go his own way, just as I did. Ash agrees, and then he begins to change the subject as he talks about Misty's travels, and he begins to question her about something that causes the redhead to immediately freeze, as he states it seemed like Misty may have known the boy Paul that they had run into earlier today. Misty immediately tries to play this off, as it's something that she's not too comfortable talking about. She states that, oh yeah, she knows Paul. They had battled a couple of times while they were out in Hoenn. He's a really strong trainer, to which Ash states that he thinks so, but Paul doesn't seem all that strong. However, this is when Misty takes a serious tone, stating that Ash better not underestimate Paul. He's the type of trainer that, when you least expect it, will be able to pull everything out from underneath you, leaving you only to wonder how it happened in the first place. I don't think it's that serious, Misty. We've battled a couple of times, and while we tied once, I beat him definitively the next time. So I'm not too worried about him, though I do think he's going to be a great challenger for the league. Who knows? Maybe he'll even get a chance to battle me if he can make it past the Elite Four. However, Misty doesn't like the fact that Ash is so nonchalant about this. He seems to be underestimating opponents, and this could cost him in this battle tomorrow. Whatever you say, Ash, the redhead says, as she turns to get a good night's sleep, as she knows that they're going to have a bit of walking in the morning. As our heroes fade away to La La Land, we cut across the region as we follow up with Jessie and Meowth. The two are sitting in front of a campfire under the open stars, as they're trying to wrap their heads around the fact that their friend, their companion, their traveling buddy, James, is now the leader of Team Rocket. They see this as an issue, and something about it just doesn't feel right. However, Jessie states that he was in charge of everything there. They referred to him as boss. Even the one called Pierce acknowledged James' leadership. But Meowth reiterates that there's something fishy going on with this whole setup. The Team Rocket that they know wouldn't be ran like that. Giovanni always ran a clean ship, and this shadow leadership that they spoke of doesn't seem to be on the up and up for the lowlifes that they are. While Giovanni was many things, simply folding and not having some sort of plan in his demise or disappearance is not something that he would simply allow. So the fact that James was appointed to this position of power is something that the Scratch Cat can't quite get behind. However, Jessie simply states that it doesn't matter. If James says that he has information that she needs, then she's going to go along with whatever he has, as she pulls out the file that James had given them in their prior meeting. While Meowth is against it and he doesn't understand it, the fact of the matter is, Jessie is the only real family that it has left in this world. So no matter what, the Scratch Cat is going to be on board with whatever becomes of this obsession of Jessie. He's not quite sure who this Miyamoto is, but he's going to find out. However, he asks Jessie what their next plan is. After all, she's been mostly silent during their time that they've left the Team Rocket base, to which she lays out a map in front of them and points to each target on it. There's one place that's rather close to their location, so that's going to be their first stop. Meowth begins to look at the location that Jessie is talking about, to which causes his eyes to wince a little bit. Wait, Pokemopolis? Are you sure? The Scratch Cat questions, to which Jessie responds, yes. One of the energy signatures that they're looking for is coming from there. Rumor has it that there's been a lot of excavations since the last time they were there, and a lot of new territories have been found. So, as long as we don't have any other issues, Jessie states, as she has a brief flashback to when they made the mistake of awakening the giant Gengar in Alakazam, they shouldn't have any problems, and this should be something relatively clean. Meow states that they're going to have to get there quick, as it seems, according to their device that was given to them on their way out of the rocket base, the energy signature is growing by the day, which means that it's more likely that it's going to be discovered if they don't get there soon. The two nod, agreeing that they're going to set out before sunrise the next day, as it'll only take them a couple of hours. With some luck, they'll be able to get there just as the sun caresses the mountains and use the cover of the shadows of the breaking day to assist in their dastardly deeds. So, with their plans set in motion, the two turn in for the night, as they know that they don't have any more than a couple of hours before they're going to have to be up to set their plans into action. The next morning, around high noon, this is when we follow up with Ash, Misty, and Janine, as they have finally arrived at the place known as the Battle Pike. It took them quite a bit of time to get here, more than Misty had thought, as they'd been walking for a couple of hours. However, by the time that the sun was highest in the sky, they finally saw what looks like to be a mouth of a giant Pokemon coming into view. Ash even comments on this, stating that that Pokemon looks like it would be of an evolutionary line of something known as an Arbok. However, Janine states that it's not. It's another poison type that she wants to catch, but she's going to have to go to another region for it, known as Seviper. But don't be fooled by the look of the Battle Pike. Just because it looks like a Pokemon doesn't mean that the Frontier Brain is a fool. They're really strong, and if you underestimate them, then you're going to be left with no win today, Janine says. However, Ash simply looks at Pikachu as he rubs it on its cheek, stating that don't worry, they know what they're doing, and they're ready for any challenge that happens. I certainly hope so, a voice says as they approach the Battle Pike, to which upon looking around is revealed to be Scott, the president of the Battle Frontier. Dadbod Scott states that Ash couldn't have come at a worse time. It's actually the day off of the Frontier Brain. He thought that they were going to be here yesterday, so they decided that they were going to take today off and spend some time with their significant other. Wait, what do you mean, day off? I thought that Frontier Brains wouldn't have days off like Gym Leader. However, Scott replies that they're people too, and they need time off just like anybody else. Time to spend with their family, friends, and Pokemon. This immediately causes Ash to hang his head. He thought that he was going to get a chance at a battle today. He didn't come this way for nothing, so he immediately perks up as he barges past Scott and enters the battle facility to begin to pound on the door, demanding that the Brain have a battle with him. I'm afraid that's not going to work, Scott says. The Frontier Brain doesn't respond to anyone, not even me, when they are spending time with their Pokemon and significant other. However, Ash is persistent as he continues to bang on the door, while Janine, Misty, and Scott just all look on, completely bewildered at the boy, stating that he's not going to get any results. However, much to the surprise of the Frontier President, the door begins to crack open as Ash beats on it. The boy yells that he is here for a battle with the Frontier Brain at the Battle Pike. They need to get out here now so that way they can do this. However, as the door cracks open, Ash's tirade is going to be stopped, as the person that steps through is someone that he wasn't expecting. Brock? Ash? They both say in complete confusion. What are you doing here? The breeder states, to which Ash immediately responds with another question of his own, asking if Brock is the Frontier Brain. However, this is going to be interrupted by another voice that comes from within inside the door, as a woman yells, stating that whoever's interrupting them better have a good reason. After all, she's not going to tolerate somebody taking away time from her and her precious Brock, as a woman steps through. But she's going to be immediately stopped by the sight that stands before her. Scott, I thought I told you that I wasn't going to be accepting any challenges, the woman says. However, the Frontier President states that I tried to stop him and tell him that you were off for the day and he was going to have to come back, but he persisted and barged right past me. However, there's going to be a bigger issue to address here, as the girl looks at Ash, stating that she understands he's the champion of the region, but that doesn't give him the right to interrupt people during their personal time. He's going to have to come back at a later date, so that way they can have their battle, before she tells Brock that they need to get back to what they were doing. However, she's going to notice that Brock is completely transfixed at the sight of what's going on, to which she immediately has to call him back to Earth. Brock, honey, what's going on? Come on, let's go back back to our activity. However, Brock is going to state that he doesn't think that's going to be possible, as he reveals that him and Ash go way back. They've known each other for a long time, as well as Misty. This is when the girl looks around, as she notices that Janine is here as well. Brock states that Ash and him traveled around the region when he became champion, and they also traveled part-time in the Johto region, so him and Ash are kind of best friends. This immediately captures the interest of this woman, who introduces herself as Lucy, the Serpentine Queen of the Battle Pike, and now her demeanor has completely changed as she has taken interest in what is going on here, as Brock's attention has completely shifted from her to this boy Ash and the girl that they're traveling with known as Misty. So, you two know each other, she states, to which Ash simply nods, asking how Lucy knows Brock, to which the girl replies nonchalantly that Brock's her boyfriend. This immediately caused the jaws of Misty and Ash to hit the floor. Boyfriend? What do you mean by boyfriend, they state, to which Brock simply smiles as he laughs a bit uncomfortably, rubbing the back of his head. He says that he met Lucy when he was at the Pokemon Institute studying to be a doctor. She'd come in to offer some of her expertise in one of the classes, and for whatever reason, they hit it off. So in Brock's spare time, when he doesn't have to be at the Institute, he's here with her, spending every waking moment. It's here that Brock crouches down to Ash and whispers in a very quiet voice, "Listen, don't be over-aggressive with Lucy, as she does have a bit of a temper when she's pushed in the wrong direction, and I don't think you'll like the result, as it's the quickest way to get her to deny your challenge at the Battle Pike, so you might want to play it cool for the time being." However, this little conversation isn't going to go unnoticed by Lucy, as she asks Brock why he can't share with the rest of the class, to which the breeder simply stands up straight, stating that, oh, it's nothing to worry about. He was just catching up with his old friend Ash. He then formally introduces the two, stating that they should invite everyone inside so that way they can all talk and get to know each other. However, Lucy is going to be quick to shut this down. This was her day off, and she intended to spend it with Brock, and it's been completely ruined by Ash interrupting them. So she's going to break her one cardinal rule, as she states that Ash needs to be taught some manners. So they're going to have the battle he came here for, and she's going to beat them into him whether he likes it or not. Oh no, Brock says as he hangs his head. However, this statement completely catches Ash, as this is what he wanted to hear. All the while, behind him, Scott is beginning to internally panic, as he has invoked the wrath of Lucy, something that not even the Frontier presidents or any of the other Frontier brains ever want to do. The president quickly cautions Ash, stating that whenever Lucy gets like this, it's best to steer clear, so maybe he might want to battle her another day. However, the Frontier brain simply stomps her foot, stating that Scott will not be overriding her on this one. They're gonna battle, whether they want to or not. Okay, Scott says, as he quickly backs off. Good luck, Ash. You're gonna need it. However, the boy seems completely oblivious to anything that is going on in subtext here, only focused on the fact that he's got the battle that he wanted. All the while, behind him, both Misty and Janine are hanging their head, as Ash is completely clueless to why Lucy is so upset with them in the first place. The Serpentine Queen then tells them to follow her into the Battle Pike. She will lead them to the battle area, to which Ash eagerly follows, as Brock cautions her to go easy on him. He's an idiot, and sometimes Ash doesn't know what he's doing. However, Lucy states that he couldn't respect somebody's simple wishes, and not only that, but he's also the champion of her region, so there's no reason for her to go easy. She intends to battle him with everything that she has. Okay, Brock says sheepishly, as he takes a spot next to Misty and Janine in the stands, as Scott commentates to the three that while Lucy is pretty calm in her everyday life, when her personal time is interrupted, especially with someone that she adores, it's not something that the person that did the interrupting is going to like to experience. So I hope Ash is ready for the most intense battle he's had of yet, as the boy takes his side of the field, with Lucy taking hers, stating that they're going to have a 2-on-2. They will be allowed substitutions, though Lucy states that she's not going to need it. After all, she's coming at Ash with everything she has. The boy simply smiles, stating that she better not give himself a handicap on his behalf. It could end up costing her the battle, but the brain remains confident in her decision, telling Ash that they will be battling on this battlefield, as the normal battling area gives way to one that is a mix of land and water, showing that this is going to be a diversity style of battle, so Ash is going to have to be on her toes, as he thinks that this brain may be a very versatile trainer, judging by the type of field that she's presenting him with. However, just like in the battle with Spencer, and his chance to actually battle a legendary Pokemon, Ash is getting excited, and he's not going to take this lying down. Whenever you're ready, the brain says, telling Ash to produce his first Pokemon, to which he eagerly has no reservations about, as he declares, Drapion, I choose you. Ash's newest evolution pops from the ball, as it lets out a mighty roar, staring down Lucy. However, even though it's a super aggressive Pokemon, the look in her eyes causes it to flinch a bit, as the Scorpion doesn't know what it is about this girl, but even she seems to be a little bit scary to hit. However, Ash yells to his Poison's type, stating that this is going to be the first Frontier battle it gets a chance to compete in, so he's going to need it to be focused. That way they can bring home another battle symbol, to which Drapion immediately flexes its biceps before staring down Lucy, demonstrating that even though it might be a little afraid of her, it's still willing to push through that fear to show what it can really do. However, Lucy still remains to be calm. However, you can tell beneath the calmness of her exterior lurks a raging storm that is getting more and more intense with each passing moment, as the thoughts of Ash interrupting her day with Brock is beginning to fester with her first choice, Sandaconda, your time to battle. Popping from the ball is a Pokemon that Ash has never seen before. However, it remains coiled, kind of like it's wrapped around a tube, but this thing seems deceptively docile for a Pokemon that would be becoming of a frontier brain. Ash knows he's going to have to exercise caution, as Lucy tells him to take the first move. She is ready whenever he is. Wanting to keep his distance, Ash decides to favor that style of battle as he orders Drapion to fire away with the pin missile. The Scorpion does its command, firing massive needles into the air that begin to rain down on this would-be opponent. However, Lucy remains calm, merely ordering Sandaconda to use a dig, tunneling below the battlefield, completely evading the attack and putting Ash on the defense. He knows that this is a bad sign, as dig is going to be super effective against his Scorpion. However, he has an idea, telling Drapion that it needs to jump from the main body of land that they're on into the middle of the pool where there's little small islands that it can hide out on. The Scorpion does this just in the nick of time, as Sandaconda comes up from underneath, barely missing the dig, as Drapion catches air and lands on one of the islands in the middle of it. Ash was guessing that this thing is a ground type, so as it stares down at the water, this has all but confirmed his suspicions, commenting to Lucy that it looks like her Pokemon is going to have a little bit of a hard time battling with his Drapion. However, she simply smiles, stating she doesn't think so, commanding for Stone Edge that immediately is fired from Sandaconda that strikes Drapion for a critical hit. The attack was so fast that Ash didn't even have a time to react. All the while, in the stands, Brock, Misty, Scott, and Janine are all looking on as the aggression that Lucy was beginning to aim at Ash is bubbling to the surface in the demonstration of her attacks, and this is proven with her follow-up, as she holds no quarrel about ordering her Sandaconda into the water, catching Ash off guard. He immediately tells Drapion to extend its pincers to try to grab onto the snake. However, Sandaconda merely dives below, causing Drapion to lose sight of it, and missing its opportunity to grab onto the serpent. This is where Scott simply chuckles to herself. This is why she's called the Serpentine Queen. When it comes to snakes and other Pokemon of that type of species, she is number one. Lucy favors out an all-out battle style, so Ash is going to have to be a little bit more cunning if he hopes to overcome her, and this is on full display when she orders Sandaconda out of the pool with the Fire Fang that it uses to latch on to Drapion and one of its arms. This immediately causes the serpent to begin to flail about as Ash tells it to calm down. They need to focus, use its other pincers, and grab the bulk of Sandaconda's body. Drapion does so, pulling at the serpent, trying to extend it out as far as it can reach. However, Sandaconda is far longer than it looks while it's coiled up, and it's merely too big for Drapion's reach. However, this is when Ash notices something. It seems that Sandaconda is vulnerable in the middle, as it immediately tries to recoil by letting loose of the Fire Fang. This begins to give Ash an idea, ordering Drapion in with a knockoff. This manages to secure the first damage onto Sandaconda. However, it's immediately met with another Stone Edge that strikes Drapion, freeing the snake from its pincers and allowing it to fall back into the water to where it can't be seen by Drapion. The Scorpion stares down at the blue liquid, trying to figure out what it's going to do next, getting a little agitated that it can't do anything besides wait for its opponent to surface. However, Ash tells it to be calm. This is what they need. Drapion looks back at its trainer as Ash tells it to trust him. He knows exactly what they're going to need to do in order to beat this thing. However, Lucy aims to prove Ash wrong as she demonstrates that this isn't her first time having Sandaconda inside the body of water, as she orders it to use its coil as a spring to jettison itself from the depths with a Fire Fang that is fully engulfed as it emerges. However, this is where Ash orders Drapion on the attack, or should we say the defense, as he tells it to use the pincer on its tail to secure Sandaconda. Drapion does so, demonstrating how flexible it is with its new, larger, and more malleable size, as it pivots its position using its tail to secure Sandaconda as the Fire Fang latches down on its tail. This causes the poison type to flinch. However, Ash tells it to push through and to use its other two pincers to grab Sandaconda at each end. Doing so, Drapion begins to pull as far as it can, exposing the underbelly of Sandaconda that it works so hard to protect. And in this moment, Ash is able to execute another pin missile that is fired into the belly of Sandaconda, completely unblocked for some serious damage. This causes it to release the Fire Fang that it had on the tail of Drapion as it winces in pain and lets out a cry. However, Lucy remains unfazed as she commands a Stone Edge. This is something that Ash doesn't think the serpent can do. However, Lucy demonstrates that he is dead wrong, as Sandaconda lets out the tension in his body and expands even further, causing slack to form in the grip of Drapion before it recoils, forming the stones and striking the serpent from behind, forcing the Scorpion to drop it into the water once again. This angers Drapion, as it's once again lost its prey. However, this time Ash isn't going to let Sandaconda get away, as he orders Drapion to use a dig and tunnel down below. Doing so, the poison type immediately disappears. However, this is where Lucy is going to unveil her plan, as she was waiting for Ash to use a dig, as she commands Sandaconda to use a move called Sand Tomb. Immediately, the ground that Drapion had tunneled into becomes soft, as the Scorpion becomes trapped, unable to move in this new soft sand. Then, before they know it, water begins to spill over the edge, as the pit that has been dug by this sand trap is beginning to fill. Now unable to move, Drapion begins to panic as it lets out cries of its name, trying to shake itself free. However, Ash tells it to be calm. He has an idea. Just wait for Sandaconda to emerge. Drapion does the best to do as its trainer commands. However, it's going against its nature to remain calm in a situation like this, as it is typically an aggressive aggressive Pokemon. This causes it to begin to panic once more. However, the opportunity that they were waiting for quickly presents itself as Sandaconda begins to barrel through the sand as the water is pouring in, before it erupts in another Fire Fang, aiming to clamp down on the head of Drapion to end this. But this is where Ash unveils what he had in mind, as Drapion's tail comes into play once again here. It's the only part of the Scorpion's body that was actually free, and it has just enough play to arc over Drapion's head and grab Sandaconda just behind its jaws, preventing it from striking down Drapion. This is where Ash calls for another pin missile that the Scorpion is able to execute as it bursts from the now flooded pit with needles that begin to barrel down on Sandaconda, striking the snake and sending it skyward. The last thing Lucy sees is Sandaconda coming back down before Ash calls for his final move, a knockoff that sends the serpent careening across the battlefield into the wall of the battle pike, with a thud that rocks the arena before it slides down with spirals in its eyes, giving Drapion the win of the first battle. This immediately causes Ash to celebrate as Drapion lets out a cry of its name, before it unfortunately collapses under its own weight, causing Ash to stop celebrating and calling to his Scorpion to make sure it's alright. However, Drapion as well has spirals in its eyes, and this battle is declared a draw. This immediately bums Ash out as he wanted a chance to use it a little bit more. However, this sentiment isn't shared by his opponent Lucy, as she recalls Sandaconda with a look on her face that says she is intending to make this next battle as difficult for Ash as she possibly can. So, as our champion recalls his Scorpion, we pan over to the stands as Scott is commentating on the battle, stating that he's actually surprised Ash was able to pull that out. Normally, trainers can't deal with the fact that Lucy's Sandaconda is trained to withstand the disadvantages that it would normally have in the water. It was actually pretty impressive. That Sand Tomb move that she had used on the island bar to turn it into a prison for Drapion is one of her trademark and signature techniques that she uses to clinch victories. Usually after that, the opponent isn't able to come back and Lucy decimates them within the next few moves, but Ash was able to not only defend against it, but also win. This is where Brock comments that he can't count Ash out just yet. Just because he's young doesn't mean he's not a good trainer. He's seen him pull off things that most people wouldn't even think was possible. However, he understands exactly what Scott is saying, as he's been with Lucy for a while now, and he's seen quite a few of her battles, and he knows that look that she has in her eyes. This is going to be a battle of all-out destruction if she can pull it through. He just hopes that it doesn't cause any waves between him, his friend, and his girlfriend. All the while, Misty is looking on as Ash contemplates his next choice, while Lucy just stands there menacingly quiet as she thinks about her next choice. But they're not going to have to wait long, as Lucy is the one that takes the initiative in the next selection, declaring, "Milotic, your time to battle." Just like before, another serpent emerges from the Pokeball. However, this time, this one appears to favor the water, as it immediately takes to the pool that is in the middle of the battlefield as waves begin to form under the crash of its wake. Lucy challenges Ash to use his strongest Pokemon. She doesn't want anything to be held back. After all, he is here for a frontier battle, and she plans to go all out using her signature battle style, to which Ash still hasn't quite figured out yet. However, knowing that this is a water type, he decides that it's going to be time to pull out his ace, as he turns to Pikachu and asks the electric mouse if it's ready to jump in, to which it's been fiending for a battle, as it didn't get a chance to go against Janine the day before. So the rodent takes no time in jumping in, declaring that it's going to be Ash's final choice as it sparks at the cheeks, signaling that it's ready to go. This is exactly what Lucy was hoping for, as with the start of the battle being called, she wastes no time in beginning to apply as much pressure as possible, ordering Milotic to use a surf. This immediately causes the serpent to whip its tail around as a gigantic wave begins to erupt from within the pool that is immediately aimed in the direction of Pikachu. The towering wall of water kind of freezes Ash for a second, as he didn't think that this pool had that much in it to begin with, and it's immediately putting Pikachu at odds, as the places it's going to be able to run are slim to none. So the boy decides that they're going to have to clear a path, as he commands Pikachu to use a quick attack and to combine it with an Iron Tail to break through the wave. Doing so, the mouse is able to easily overpower the water type attack. However, on the other side, Milotic is waiting with an Iron Tail that's been charged of its own, as it slams into Pikachu, and unfortunately, because the mouse used most of its power to break through the water tower, it isn't able to match Milotic in its power, and it takes this move full on before it's sent careening back across the pool as it skips before coming to a stop on the land part, just at the edge before being cratered. Ash immediately calls to a starter. However, Pikachu may be down, but it's not out, though it did feel that move. Wow, that attack was nothing but power, Ash thinks. However, it's in that thought that his eyes begin to widen as a realization sets in. Lucy aims to win this battle just by overpowering Ash with sheer force and aggression, and as this dawns on Ash, a smirk appears on the Frontier Brain's face, as she knows that Ash is finally clued into what her strategy is. Big, bold moves that are going to quickly overpower Ash's best choices. No matter what power Ash throws at her, she's going to easily be able to come back and dish out even more. Realizing the boat that they're in, Ash tells Pikachu to stand up. They have their work cut out for them. The electric mouse wastes no time getting back to its feet as it sparks, signaling that it's ready for round 2. Lucy thinks to herself, good, I wasn't quite done taking my frustration out on this boy yet, as she commands for Milotic to use another surf to create another barrier between it and Pikachu. However, this time, Ash has a plan that he thinks might work, as he commands the electric mouse to use quick attack instead of Iron Tail, and he wants it to bolt around the battlefield, using the land platforms that still haven't been consumed by the swell. Doing so, Pikachu is able to easily close the gap between it and Milotic. However, there is still the lingering tower of liquid that separates the two. But this is where Ash is going to be Ash, as he tells Pikachu to use its tail as a springboard to try and propel itself over the wave. The mouse does this as it catches Lucy off guard now that Pikachu is above Milotic. This puts the mouse in a prime location as Ash immediately commands for it to use a thunder with all the power that it has. Heralding the command of its trainer, Pikachu charges every bit of electricity within its tiny body as it begins to touch the crest of the wave before letting loose with a thunder that is easily carried through all of the liquid and finds its target in Milotic before zapping the serpent with everything that it has for super effective damage. Yes, that's it, Ash thinks, as Pikachu is consumed by the swell. Even though the mouse took more damage, there's no way that Milotic could have survived that. It was a direct hit and amplified by the water. And as the water begins to calm and Pikachu makes its way to one of the many small islands in the middle of the pool to catch its breath, Milotic is indeed left in the middle of the water, sparking with what looks to be electricity. However, the serpent isn't down yet, as Lucy calls for a recover. Glowing in a healing aura, Milotic begins to recuperate some of the energy that it had just lost. This immediately causes a concern for Ash, as the boy knows that if she employs a recover strategy here, that means that there's going to be no way that Pikachu can keep up with this. Knowing that they have to act fast, Ash orders Pikachu to use an Iron Tail. The mouse does so, jumping from sandbar to sandbar before charging up its tail to crack Milotic across the head. However, Lucy commands for Milotic to immediately counter with an Iron Tail of its own, but this is when something comes into play, as even though it was able to recover some of its health, Milotic is moving noticeably slower than before, as the mouse is able to easily make its way around Milotic's Iron Tail before it cracks the serpent on the top of its dome, causing some more damage. This immediately causes Lucy's eye to begin to twitch, as she knows that a paralysis has been set in on Milotic. Knowing that the only way she's going to be able to win this is if they just outlast Pikachu, she immediately calls for another recover, to which Ash counters by ordering a Thunderbolt, hoping that Pikachu has enough left in the tank to charge another electricity jolt. But unfortunately, this is going to be met by something that he wasn't expecting, as Milotic, in the middle of its recover, uses its tail to invoke something from the previous battle with Drapion and Sandaconda. The sandbar that had been turned into mud is used as projectiles, flicked up into the air by the tail of Milotic that causes somewhat of a mud shield that deflects the electricity, preventing the serpent from taking any damage. This throws Ash off guard, as now Lucy is back on the attack, calling for another surf. But this time, Pikachu is beginning to feel it, as the mouse is breathing heavily, trying to do what it can to evade the waves as they come crashing down. Ash immediately orders Pikachu to use a quick attack to try and put some distance between the two of them and get back to the main land of the battlefield. Doing so, Pikachu is able to put the distance needed between the two, giving it a moment to recover. But as it's completing this action, sparks begin to form around the mouse, catching the eye of Brock up in the stands. Is that what I think it is, that Breeder thinks to himself? However, he's going to have to wait on this thought, as the battle is beginning to climax. Even though Milotic is at a complete disadvantage as far as being in the water and facing down an electric type, Pikachu is the one that's beginning to show the signs of an extensive battle, as it is breathing heavily and it is not going to be able to go on much longer. Ash and Lucy can see this, and the Frontier Brain is beginning to feel joy in this battle for the first time, as she feels that it's near its end. She immediately orders Milotic to use another Iron Tail. The serpent charges its massive body as it begins to bring the metallic energy-laden limb down on Pikachu. However, this isn't going to go over well with Ash, as he immediately orders the mouse to charge an Iron Tail of its own. Doing so, Pikachu charges its tail and jumps directly in the line of fire of Milotic. This catches Lucy off guard, as she wasn't expecting Ash to go on the attack to match her aggression, but the two meet just in the middle of the water as their tails collide. But it's quickly apparent that Milotic has more power here, causing Lucy to smile, stating that Pikachu is going to lose this. There's no way that the small rodent can overpower her mighty serpent. But Ash simply smiles back, stating that he had never intended it to overpower Milotic with sheer force, as he commands Pikachu to use another thunder. This is when it dawns on Lucy, as Ash wanted them to be as close as possible. He aimed to use the two steel-type moves as conductors to feed the electricity directly into Milotic and to amplify it with the water once again. No, she yells, "Milotic, break contact!" But it's too late, as the electric mouse summons all of the available power within its body and lets loose with the strongest thunder that Ash, Pikachu, or Brock have ever seen. The light is so bright that nobody can see the result, as Pikachu cries out its name before a sizzling sound can be heard. Once their pupils dilate back to normal and everyone is able to see the result, it's apparent who the clear victor is. Milotic lays belly up in the pool of water with spirals in its eyes, as Pikachu stands on the shore of the pond, breathing very heavily, barely able to stand. This immediately causes Scott to stand up, declaring Ash the victor of the battle Pike. While Lucy is upset about the loss, she has to admit that it was a pretty impressive battle. Ash is worthy of his title of champion, and this has caused the Frontier Brain to finally show a sign of respect to Ash, as she thanks him for the intense battle, though he does need to learn a little bit more of manners when somebody says that they do have a day off and they don't intend to be conducting any official business on that. This causes Ash to rub the back of his head as he meekly apologizes. He didn't mean to be so forceful. He was just overcome with the urge to battle, and he really wanted to challenge a strong trainer. However, it's at this moment that Pikachu collapses, forcing the boy to run out, making sure that it's alright. As Lucy watches this, she thinks to herself, I can see why Brock has always spoken so highly of you. You're a good person, though you may be a bit misguided at times. As Ash secures Pikachu to make sure that the electric mouse is okay, Lucy recalls Milotic and walks up to the boy. She then pulls out the newest battle symbol that he is going to add to his collection, stating that this is the luck symbol, and she proudly presents it to Ash as proof of his victory at the battle Pike. This causes the boy to immediately celebrate as he's now secured his second symbol of the battle frontier. He then thanks Pikachu for all of the effort that it put in. He knows that it gave everything that it had, and if one thing had gone wrong in that instance, Pikachu would have been flattened like a pancake. However, Lucy states that Ash has an uncanny ability to see things in battle that most other people can't. That's why she didn't realize that he was planning to use the Iron Tails as conductors for the Thunder, so he shouldn't sell himself short. The boy thanks Lucy for the first real compliment she's given him since he arrived, before turning to Misty and Brock and stating that it was good to have a chance to see him again, and that he hopes that they'll have a chance to catch up real soon. But they're going to have to get going if they want to get back to Fuchsia City before nightfall. This is where Lucy lets down the veil of frustration and security between her and everybody else, stating that they can stay here at the Battle Pike for the rest of the night, but the brain demands that Ash let her have the last night with Brock that he's going to be here. However, Brock states that he's not due back at the Institute for a couple of weeks, so he doesn't understand what she's talking about. However, this is where Lucy states that she knows that Brock wants to travel again with Ash. All of the conversations that they've had since her and Brock have met, Ash has always been in one of them. Brock speaks very highly of his friend, and she knows that Brock would like the chance to spend some time with Ash, so she's telling him that he needs to head out on the road, travel one last time with his friend before they all have to return to normal life. This leaves everybody kind of speechless, as it is an act of unselfishness, causing Brock to ask Lucy if she's sure, to which she simply smiles. She knows that Brock is going to come back to her eventually, so why not? After all, the time that they're going to have is a lot longer than the time that him and Ash are going to have, so go on, be with his friend. After all, this may be the last opportunity they have to do so. Turning, Brock looks at Ash. Would you mind having one more on your journey through the battle frontier? To which immediately gets the boy excited, as he says, you know it, before him and Brock shake hands, showing that even though it's been a long time since they've seen each other, they're still just as good as friends as the day that he left. Well, it looks like we got one more to travel with us, Misty, before we get back to the Cerulean Gym, Ash says, to which the redhead says, I guess it really is going to be like old times, causing Ash, Pikachu, Janine, Scott, Lucy, and Misty all to laugh. However, the Frontier President states that he has to get going. There's other things that he has to tend to, but before he takes his leave, he questions Ash on which facility he's going to be heading to next, to which the boy states it looks like the closest one to them is going to be the Battle Dome around Lavender Town. Scott nods, stating that he looks forward to seeing Ash there before taking his leave. This causes Ash to turn to Lucy, as he looks at the Frontier Brain, stating, since we're going to be staying the night here, what's going to be for dinner? As the boy's stomach begins to rumble, and everybody starts to laugh. As our heroes rejoice with the reunion of their old friend Brock, this is where we are going to pan back to Jessie and Meowth, as they have snuck into the ruins of Pokemopolis under the cover of night. There is one chamber in particular that has their attention, and luckily it's only been recently excavated, and they haven't really made much headway into getting to where they need to go. Meowth states that they need to make this quick. After all, the security is going to be back rather soon. The diversion that he set up isn't going to last that long. However, Jessie states that she knows exactly where they need to go, as she looks down at the device on her hand while they follow it into the ruins. It isn't long until both Meowth and Jessie reach a dead end, to which the Scratch Cat comments that it looks like Jessie has gotten them lost once again, but the redhead states no, they haven't. Whatever they need is on the other side of this wall. Well, it looks like a normal wall to me, Meowth says. However, Jessie isn't willing to accept this fact, as the words of James echo in her mind about her getting the information to the rest of that file. This is where Jessie calls on Arbok, and just like they had before when they were here the last time, she orders it to dig, but not a tunnel for it to go find something itself. She wants it to create a tunnel big enough through the rock to where they can all fit through. The serpent looks at Jessie a little bit estranged. However, it does so, though it does take a lot of its effort, resulting in Arbok being completely beat up as it gets through the rock. Just like Jessie had said, on the other side is a hollowed out area, as Arbok collapses into this unknown room, with Meowth rushing to its side, stating that Jessie needs to be a little bit kinder to her Pokemon. Scratch Cat has never seen her act like this. However, Jessie, with a focus that Meowth has never seen before, merely looks forward, as at the end of the room sits on a pedestal a shiny stone that irradiates, and an aura captures the attention of both her and the Scratch Cat. And this is where we are going to leave things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? What did you think about the battle that Ash had with Janine and the fact that it caused his Skorupi to evolve in Drapion? How do you feel about Drapion as a whole? Do you feel like that its personality may be a problem going forward into future parts, or is it something that Ash is going to be able to work with? What about Ash's Alolan Vulpix? It seems to not really care about anything besides what it's focused on at the time being. Is he going to be able to wrangle it in? Did you enjoy the battle that Ash had with Lucy? And how did you feel about Brock being her love interest in this what-if scenario, and the fact that our favorite Pokemon breeder is going to be rejoining the gang on Ash's continued quest to conquered the battle frontier? And what's the deal with this crystal inside of the temple at Pokemopolis that Jesse and Meowth found? And why is it so important to the new Team Rocket that's being ran by James? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below.